I'm glad you're here, and I wanted to give you a little bit of Friday inspiration and empowerment and encouragement while simultaneously sharing with you some amazing things about living on purpose, the coaching certification program, and also the academy. And so it's good to see you all. Some of you I have seen before, and I know, and most of you I do know, and have you guys have been connected in some capacity as I'm out there doing the things that God has called me to do. And one of the things that I really love about coaching and about being able to be a full-time entrepreneur is that I can create my business to be exactly what I want it to be according to God's will for my life. Now, one thing that I know about me and the audience that I draw is that, most people that are connected are people of faith because I make no qualms about, and I do not keep it a secret that I am a woman of faith and that I believe that we can integrate the things that we love to do the most, the things that we are well equipped to do, and integrate our faith, infuse our faith within those things. And so I'm excited about that. I love entrepreneurship. I love coaching. I love with connecting with wonderful individuals as you all who are connected here today on the webinar today. And I'm going to jump right in and share what I came to share with you. Okay, so we're going to hold tight as I share my screen here. And so, what I want to share with you all this afternoon is how coaching transformed my life. How coaching transformed my life. And when I say that it transformed my life, it literally transformed my life. And you'll see what I'm talking about as we go further into the webinar. So, this is where it all started right here, y'all. Right here. December 2015. December 2015. This is a picture that I took inside the office where I worked. I worked for a nonprofit organization. I was operating in the capacity of a case manager, doing facilitation of group meetings and counseling and things of that sort. My education and background is in counseling. My master's is in counseling and human services. And so I had a really good JOB, okay? I had a really good JOB. And this was a little office that I worked in. And this was a picture that was on the wall. I saw this picture every day, and it has success under the bottom of it there. And every time I saw this picture, I had to think about some things pertaining to my life. And so here I am taking a picture with a smile on my face in front of this success sign here. And there were a lot of things that were going on behind the scenes that you can't see from this picture. But this picture was always there, and I always had to pay attention to it and kind of think about some things pertaining to my own life. And so when you think about success, success is really knowing that you are on the right path. That's what that picture said. That's what the little line underneath the success, the word success. That's what it says. It says success is knowing that you are on the right path on your journey. Okay, and so kind of had some question marks there for me. And this was December 2015, y'all. It was my D-Day. I call it my D-Day. Okay, and you'll understand why in a few minutes. So my quote unquote success story around this time, December 2015, 49 years old. I was a case manager, a group facilitator for a reputable addiction a recovery center, a nonprofit organization well known here in the Atlanta area. I was working 9 to 5 plus 40 plus hours a week. And on Thursday nights, when I had to facilitate the group sessions, I was there until 8 p.m. I was growing someone else's business. I was empowering somebody else's dream and legacy. My job controlled all of my time. I had to come when they told me to come. I had to leave when they told me to leave. And all of my time off, vacations, sick days, all of that, they were limited. And when they were gone, they were gone. When they were gone, they were gone. Okay. I had to juggle home, work, and ministry and family, not on my terms, but on their terms, because I had a really good JOB. I had a really good job, and I'm not the type of woman that is irresponsible or lazy or slothful. I'm going to do my job. Okay, that's one thing that you can be guaranteed of. I'm going to do my job, and that's what I did when I worked in this particular position. But this was my quote unquote success story. Does it sound like success from these things that I've shared thus far? So I had to scratch my head. You see these little stick figures here, and they're like scratching their head. And around this time of my life, I was scratching my head just like that. I was asking myself, is this really success? Am I really on the right path? And so those were some of the questions that I had to ask myself, some things that I had to confront during this time of my life. I realized I wasn't getting any younger, right? And there were still lots of things that I wanted to do. But I was tied to this box. I was tied to operate within the context of somebody else's dream. But I was asking myself, y'all, was I really on the right path? Some of you that are watching today, you may be asking yourself that. Are you really on the right path? So this came to decision number one. I told you that I was going to share with you 5 decisions that changed the trajectory of my life. Now, this is where you're going to start taking notes and writing some stuff down and seeing how this pertains to your life. The number one decision that I made was that I had to decide to stop lying to myself. I was telling myself a big old fat lie. I was telling myself that I'm satisfied where I am, and that I was doing okay. You know, the lie was I'm satisfied where I am, and I was doing what I was supposed to do. I was doing what I was supposed to do. I had gone to school. I gotten a bachelor's degree, got a master's degree, got a really good job. Listen, at that time, my husband and I had been in ministry for quite some time. I was a co-pastor. My children were doing well. You know, all that good stuff was going on all around me. But I was still lying to myself because I was not successful based on my terms. Now, I may have been successful based on the terms of those that were onlooking, those that were looking and saying, man, you know, she really has it going on and things are going well in her life. By other people's terms and by other people's indications and measurements, I may have seemed very successful. But the number one decision that I had to make, the very first one, is that I had to decide to stop lying to myself. I wasn't satisfied. I wasn't fulfilled. I was living a mediocre life. Even being saved and pastoring and doing all of the things that I was able to do, I was still restricted. And so I want you to think about this. I want you to think about the lies that you tell yourself. I know when we were growing up, we could not use that word, right? That was like saying a curse word, right? That was profanity. But I want you to think about what things are you telling yourself right now in your life that things that are not true. Like it's really not true. You've just lulled yourself into a place of believing because it looks good, because others have told you that it's good. Others have told you that you're successful. But when you really look at the measurement of what it is that you look at to determine success, I want you to ask yourself, am I really being truthful with myself? Because I wasn't. I don't know about you all, but I wasn't. The truth was I was living a very mediocre and a very unfulfilled life at that time. Okay. And so enter Living on Purpose Coaching LLC. Okay. My business had already begun. I had already started doing business. I was already coaching. I already established my business, but I was doing it here and there. You know, I would do it when it was convenient. I would do it, you know, when I had time. I would do it when, you know, when I felt like it, right? But when I got to this D-Day around December 2015, I was thinking to myself, am I going to keep on treating my business like a hobby instead of like a livelihood? Because I was ready to do something different. I knew that I wasn't in a place of success that I wanted to be in. I knew that I would never get there. Remember that first decision that I had to make was that I had to decide not to lie to myself anymore. I would have never gotten to the point that I desired, that I dreamed of, you know, that I was praying for if I had stayed within the confines of that job that I was on. And so at this point, at this juncture, my business changed from something that I wanted to do to something that I had to do. When you begin to be truthful with yourself, you will find out and you will discover that there are some things that you think that you really can play around with, some things that you can kind of like, be lackadaisical about. But when the rubber meets the road and life shows up and you begin asking yourself questions like, is this really success? There are some things that you have done casually that you will get a fire put under you and you'll say, you know what? This is no longer just something that I want to do. It's something that I have to do if I want my life to have any similitude to what it is that I know that it's supposed to be. I was desperate for change, y'all. I was desperate for change. Some of you that are watching, some of you that are on this webinar right now, you are also desperate for change. And when you get serious, there is no sacrifice that's too great. That's what I discovered, that there was no sacrifice that was too great for me to make. So what was the solution? I had come to the conclusion that I was lying to myself. I came to the conclusion that there was no sacrifice that was too hard for me to make in order to get where I wanted to get. So what did I do? What was the solution to that? I started working two jobs, right? Theirs and mine. And so I would go in and I would fill my duties as a good employee I would. And I went in and I worked 8 hours plus, did everything that I needed to do, went above and beyond. I'm a good worker, y'all. I'll give you 150%, right? And so I did that. But what I finally began to do, I began to think and I began to say, wait, I can't give more time to somebody else's dream than I give to my own. And so I would come home, I would get dinner ready, I would kiss the husband. I would make sure that the homework was done for my son. And guess what? Around 8-ish, around 8 o'clock or so, I would hit it hard for living on purpose. And so from about 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, I was working. I was grinding for living on purpose. I was grinding for my dream. Remember, there was no sacrifice that was too hard for me to make in order for me to fulfill my dream and to be in that place of success on my terms. Success on my terms. You see, some of you need to get to the place, and the light bulb is going to come on while you're listening today, and you're going to realize that there's another place for you, and that place is living out success on your terms, on God's terms, how He told you to do it. And I was ready for change. I was desperate for change. And so, yeah, very little sleep and juggling both of these responsibilities. But I had determined at that point that I was not going to sleep on my dreams. I was not going to sleep on what God had instilled on the inside of me. And so at that time, I understood I still had to work because my business wasn't up and running full time. So I still had to work. And I still went in and did a good job. But I also understood that this was the point where I had to put the metal to the pedal, or the pedal to the metal, whichever way it goes. And I had to do something different. And so this came to the second decision. Remember, I'm sharing 5 decisions that changed the trajectory of my life. Decision number 2, the second decision that I want to share with you is I decided that I was worth the work. I was worth the work. Come on, I want you to marinate in that just a little bit there. Come on, there's a lot of things that you know that you've been called to do. There's a lot of things that you know that are on the inside of you, but it's going to take some work, right? It's going to take some sacrifice. It's going to require you to go above and beyond what you have ever gone above and beyond before. It's going to require you to lose some sleep. It may require you to lose some relationships. It may require you to lose, some things that you love to do while you're building what it is that God has placed on the inside of you. I want you to say to yourself, I want you to realize this afternoon that you are worth the work. You are worth the work. I want to grind that into you this afternoon. Whatever it is that you've been called to do, whatever it is God has placed on the inside of you, you are worth doing the work. And I realized that. I realized that when I was getting sleepy, when I was ready to come home because I had worked, a full day's work and dealing with other people's issues and dealing with, people who are addicted to drugs, to cocaine and heroin, and people who are in the midst of mental health crises. Every day I was dealing with stuff like that. And let me tell you, it was emotionally draining. And many times when I came home, you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to go to bed, y'all. I didn't want to hear anything. I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to check out. But remember, I had got to the point of desperation. And so I would come home, I would take me a breather. I kind of, wipe the dust of the day off, shake myself a little bit, and get ready to build something that I know God had intended for me to build for myself and for my family. And so I had spent most of my life seeing the worth in everyone else's dreams. Everyone else's dreams. I would show up big. I know some of y'all are like that too. You'll show up big for somebody else. You'll work really hard to make sure that somebody else is successful and that their dreams are realized. You know who you are. I'm talking to you this afternoon. Many of you are just like I was. But what I understood in that moment, and when I came to the point where I had to make this decision, that I was worth the work, I understood that it was my time. Can you say that about yourself this afternoon? It is your time. It is your time. It's your season, it's your time, and it's your turn. Come on, y'all. I'm telling you, when that light bulb comes on, there is nothing that can stop you. You are unstoppable when you realize that it's time for you to spend some time working on the thing that God placed on the inside of you, putting the time and the effort in there. You've stopped lying to yourself. You're not telling yourself, it's okay, I'll be okay doing this. No, you won't. No, you won't be okay doing that. No, you won't be okay in that limited space and place for the rest of your life. So if there's one thing that I'm going to do this afternoon, I'm going to shake you out of that lie that living a mediocre and an unfulfilled life is what you deserve, because you deserve more. You are worth the work, and it is your time. And so this is one of the last pictures that I took at the office that I just showed you where the success picture was right before I jumped, y'all. We're going to talk about jumping a little bit. And there's a little piece of paper on my wall, and I stuck that up there because we always shared inspirational quotes and things of that sort with the people who are in our program there. And this one really jumped out at me so much so that I plastered it on my wall by my desk. And it said, yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. The present. Where you are right now is a gift. It's a gift. What are you doing? How many of us receive gifts and we just keep them packaged? Somebody gives us a gift and we just say, okay, that's a pretty package. I love the bow. I love the wrapping paper. So yes, I'm going to enjoy the gift. You don't enjoy the gift until you tear off the bow, rip open the paper, open up the box, and behold what's on the inside of it. That's the only way you can enjoy it. Can I tell you that there's a gift on the inside of you? Can I tell you that the gift is the present right here, what God has given you? I'm telling you, life is so precious. I just finished talking about it on my live when I said, I have a greater respect, and I have a greater value for life right now than I ever had in all of my 54 years. I'm telling you, this last year has allowed the scales to fall from my eyes. And I understand that there's no sense in saying, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll wait and do it, a year from now. I got to take a hold of the present, the gift that God has given me right here, right now, the gift of this day, so that I can share the gift that's on the inside of me. So this is it right here, y'all. December 2015. Check it out, check it out, check it out. This is the Living on Purpose corporate office, okay? This is our guest room in our previous home. This is our guest room, and what do you see there? You see my computer, you see my printer, you see my bookshelf, you see my little gadget there where I would put together some of the workbooks that I had created around that time. This is it. This is it. This is what I had right here. That's right here. And guess what? It was more than enough. It was more than enough. Can I sneak in another little decision that I think that you all need to make? The same decision I had to make. It's not one of the 5 I'm sharing. You can get this one for free. Is that you have to make the decision that what you have is enough. That what you have is enough. I didn't have any, chandeliers hanging and big office chairs and nice big office corporate furniture. I didn't have that. But what I had, I saw so much in that computer and that printer and my cell phone. And I'm telling you, this was my corporate office back in December 2015 when I decided that I was going to jump. And I said to myself, this is enough. And it was better than the office that I was working in, fulfilling somebody else's dream. Man, it was great. Listen, it was like Donald Trump's office up here when I was in my upstairs guest room doing work for living on purpose. Living on purpose. I know you guys probably didn't want me to say that name, and I apologize for that. Don't leave the webinar. Here we go. So let me tell you why I had to do this, because these people right here needed me. These people right here needed me to be free. And these are some old pictures, because these people right here are a lot older than this right now. But I remember the reason I use these pictures, because these are some of the things that I got to do immediately after I stepped out and left my 9 to 5 and decided that I was going to take that leap of faith full time and do living on purpose full time. Okay. I needed to be free so I could be with these people. I can remember a few days after I had left my 9 to 5, my grandson, Kingston, said, Ganga, that's what he calls me, Ganga, I want you to go on a field trip with me. And guess what? I could say yes. I didn't have to ask what time. I didn't have to put in a vacation request. I didn't have to do any of that. We just took our little selves and went on this field trip with all of these. I think he was in the 3rd grade or 4th grade then. All of these 3rd and 4th graders that were running all around screaming and, just driving me up a wall that day. But guess what? I loved every minute of it because I was able to spend time with my grandson. And the middle picture is with my daughter and my son and my grandson there. We went out for breakfast, being able to do the things that I love. And so being an entrepreneur was more than just about, getting out there and making money. It was about being free so I could enjoy my family. And that guy all the way on the right there, that's the love of my life. And let me tell you, he is an amazing man of God. And there are things that my being free have been able to help him with, as far as doing things that need to be done during the day and being available for him. And I love it when, when he comes home and I'm here, I'm in my office and he comes home and I get to be in place, in position for him to do the things that I need to do for him and with him. So it's an amazing thing, y'all. And so these people needed me to be free. These people right here needed me to be free. This is one of the events that I host. It's called KIM in the House with PK. And I started this program several years back, where I would go to an undisclosed location in the Atlanta area. I would rent an Airbnb and I would open it up, and there were women who would come in from all over the country to spend the weekend in the house, a weekend of ministry, a weekend of mentoring, a weekend of coaching. We would go in there on Friday, and guess what? I did not have to get time off to do this because I was on my own time. I was on God's time. And so there were several groups of women that have come through in the house, and it's an amazing event. And I think we're going to get one of those on the schedule for this year. It's an amazing event where you see all types of things happen, deliverance and people defining and discovering their purpose and people getting set free. Let me tell you, it's an amazing thing. And it's something that I know that I was born to do. I needed to be free for these people right here too. I also needed to be free for these people. So these are different events that I've been able to travel to. I was in the airport in North Carolina and ran into the beautiful Catherine Story. And we were both traveling, living on purpose. And we met up in the airport there. And another one of these events was here in Atlanta. And another one was in Alabama. And then I took the women from our church. We went on a retreat and spent a couple of days away together. All of these things I was able to do because I love women's ministry. I love women's ministry. And I don't want anything or anybody blocking me from being able to pour into women's lives at the level that God has ordained for my life. These people right here, they needed me to be free. And so it's some of my coaches that I've certified, Pastor Bev Tucker, who is our mentor in the area of deliverance. And then I have some of my spiritual daughters there. And let me tell you, I needed to be available for spiritual empowerment. All of these women, at some point or another along my journey, I was able to touch their lives in a special way because I decided that I was going to live a life on purpose and for purpose, that I was going to identify what success meant for me, and then I was going to live it to the fullest, to the max. And so these are some of the other people that I believe needed me to be free. My coaching certification program, these are the people that needed me to be free. It gave me time to write a curriculum that I could use to catapult others into their destinies. These are women from all over the country that have come in. Just a little snippet of them. We've certified over 100 coaches. We have coaches in Africa. We have coaches in the UK. We have coaches all over the US. And had I not took that leap of faith, this would not have happened. I'm just wanting to share with you guys what these decisions have done for me. And I hope I'm stirring up something on the inside of those of you that are on this afternoon, that you will make a different decision about your life if you're not living on purpose and making every day count. If you're not doing what you were created to do. If you're not walking the path that God has ordained for your life. And so I was able to do this, do coaching certification programs, 1-day intensive. Then we have our 8-week online programs. And I love this. I absolutely love this. These are some of the other things that I've been able to do. I created different coaching programs. We have so many, I don't even know how many at this point, coaching programs that I've been able to create. And guess what? All of these classes have been full of students. Every time I put something out, there are students that have come because they have seen or heard something that they can relate to. And all of these courses that I've been able to create over the years have been based on something that I've experienced in my life. Let me tell you, there is something in you. There's something in you that you can create for somebody else to win from. There's a testimony, there's a challenge, there's an obstacle. And so that's what I do as a coach. I think about the lessons that I've learned in life, and I'm able to transpose those into some type of course, some type of teaching, some type of lesson so that somebody else can be made better. And many of you have that gift on the inside of you. You have people that are coming to you already, people that are wanting answers from you. And for some reason, you always know what to say. You always know how to get them together. Right? Well, I want to just put this bug in your ear. You're working with something special because everybody doesn't have that. And it's amazing how some of the things that we take for granted, some of the things that we just do innately, that the world is waiting for, and we don't even realize the gold mine that we're sitting on. And so I've been able to do one-on-one coaching and group coaching programs, and I've loved every minute of it. Now, this is the part that I really like. I need to update this because not only is it 5 books now, but it's 8 books. Since I've been working full-time, a full-time entrepreneur, out here doing what it is that God has called me to do, I've been able to write 8 books, a couple times Amazon best-selling author on a couple of those books. And I love it. I love it. And now guess what? Not only, I'm gonna tell you how God does. Not only am I an author, but now I have the ability to help others write their books. So Next Level Up Publishing was also birthed out of all of these things that God has given me. As a matter of fact, we just took a class of 6 ladies through a 7-day Write Your Book boot camp where they wrote their books. Oh my God, y'all, I love this. I love this. Anything that God tells me to do, guess what I tell him? Yes. I tell him yes first, and then I ask him how. How do you want me to do it? And inevitably, he gives me instructions and he gives me insight as to how I'm supposed to keep all of these balls in the air, and we're able to do it. And I'm telling you, I even help my husband. You see the 30 principles for winning in the mind. I helped my husband complete his first book. I helped him I helped him to get that book published and out there. And that right there, oh my goodness, that right there, that did my heart good. Let me tell you, to be able to help him to write his very first book. And he wrote his first book. He started his first book in a season of his life where he was going through something very tumultuous. He had fallen off a ladder and broken his ankle and had so many screws and things having to be put in his ankle. And that's another thing. While he was down like that, guess who was able to keep the ball rolling? Guess who was able to keep the church going and showing up when he couldn't and help him to write this book? Let me tell you, God will take the worst situation in our life and he will turn it around for good. Not only for good for us, but for good for those around us. And so the third decision that I want to share with you is a decision that I wasn't going to die pregnant with legacy. I wasn't going to die pregnant with legacy. Man, oh man, oh man. Man, oh man, oh man. I decided that I was not going to carry what God had placed on the inside of me to the grave. Miles Monroe talks about it all the time when he was living. He talked about it, how he had the intention of dying empty, not in a negative connotation, but meaning that everything that was on the inside of him, he was going to get that out and into the world so that it could be a blessing to somebody else. Man, I had that same desire. I had that same dream. That's why you see me go so hard. Everything that God has placed on the inside of me, when I was trying to make the decision about what was next, I had to come to this point right here, this decision right here. I am not going to die pregnant with legacy. Pregnant with legacy. I understood that I had something to offer the world. I had the ability to empower my family. I had the ability to build business and help others build business. I had books on the inside of me. There were clients that needed me. I had mentees with my mentoring program. I had courses. Those were all a part and are still a part of my legacy. I was talking to my daughter the other day and I told her, I said, I need you to start, hanging real close and real tight. I need you to know everything that I'm doing because I have no intention that when it's time for me to go, I plan on being here till Jesus comes back. Just letting y'all know that I ain't planning on going anywhere. But I'm like, if I want to be sure that the things that the Lord has put on the inside of me last. Are y'all listening to me? That the things that if I should die, that those things would die? Absolutely not. Our legacy is our voice that speaks after we're gone. Do you not understand that Miles Monroe is still speaking? That Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he's still speaking? Come on, some of the greats, Cicely Tyson, who recently passed away, 90 plus years old, will continue to speak. I'm not talking about any weird stuff. I'm talking about their legacy, their books, their movies, their their contributions to society. Man, it's good. Everybody is not cut out for entrepreneurship. I understand that, but a lot of us are. A lot of us are. And many of us have our dreams and our visions locked inside somebody else's dream and vision. I realized I had something to offer to the world. And so that's one of the decisions I wanted to share with you that I had to make in order to see my destiny fulfilled. I decided that I was not going to die pregnant with legacy on the inside of me. Unbirthed legacy. What I want you to take a minute right here. I know I've been kind of whizzing through it, but I want you to take a moment right here with this decision. And I want you to think about, what do I have inside of me that needs to be released? What do I have inside of me right now? And we're not praying this over anybody, but what do I have inside of me right now that should the Lord take me home, I take it with me and not leave it to the world, not leave it to my children, not leave it to those that I'm supposed to pour into it. What is it on the inside of you? I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that this afternoon. There is so much, I'm sure. I'm sure you could fill up a couple of pages. So this right here, it looks like a picture from a postcard, but it's actually my view from the window when I made my first trip to Africa. It's the first morning of seeing the sunrise in Africa. I was in Johannesburg, South Africa, and it was my first international trip. And I woke up to this. Isn't this beautiful? Isn't it a beautiful scene? I would not have been able to see this had I been still trying to fulfill somebody else's dream in somebody else's world, doing a good job for them, being a good employee, and showing up every day in the context of that little box. The world is so big. The world is so big. And it took my breath away when I woke up in Johannesburg, South Africa, where I had been called to be a speaker for a global activism summit for women's empowerment. I gotten the invitation to come and speak. We were going to be there for about 7-8 days. And I was able to say yes to this, y'all. I was able to say yes to this speaking engagement. I was able to say yes to being a speaker where the event was held in the same prison where Winnie Mandela was held captive. They had refurbished that building, and now it was a venue. And I stood in that place and I delivered a speech. I delivered a word in that place because I was living out loud. I was living on purpose. There was not, I'm getting chills thinking about that. It was a wonderful experience. And this is it right here. Now, When Women Heal Global Activism Leadership Summit. And this is when I stood up, and that place right there was the prison where Winnie Mandela was held. And they had, like I said, refurbished it into a venue. And this is where I became an international speaker right here. My first international speaking engagement. And I can remember I was shaking like a leaf. I was shaking. There were women from South Africa there. There were women from all other countries there. And I stood there, and I remember I was sweating bullets. I was like, God, what am I gonna say? What do you want me to do? And I had written notes over notes over notes over notes. You don't see any notes in my hand, do you? Because by the time I stood up, let me tell you, the Holy Ghost came in, and that whole thing, it shifted. It shifted. And I thank God for that opportunity to be able to stand there and pour into all types of different women from all over the world. It was an amazing experience. This is what taking that leap of faith, jumping, really being truthful with myself and saying, wait a minute, I would have never made this trip had I not made that decision to say, this is too small. It's like the school of the prophets when the prophets came to Elijah and said, this place is too straight. And when I made that decision, the world opened up. It was amazing. I'll never forget this moment. This here, okay, this one was when I received the humanitarian award. I was a humanitarian award recipient in Lagos, Nigeria. And this was okay. So I went to South Africa in April, May, and then in August I went to Lagos, Nigeria, and then that same year in September, October I went to Kenya, Africa. I could not have done that. No way, no how, if I had not made up my mind to live on purpose and to get out of the box. I was recognized at this event for my work in women's empowerment. It's that young lady right there. She calls me her big sister now. That's Deborah Mupapa. She lives in Finland, and we're trying to make our way to Finland here soon. But she found me on social media, and she reached out to me. She started following me, and she started being blessed by some of the things that I was doing on social media. And she called, she reached out, and she says, I need you here. I want to honor you. I want you to come. And at first she says, you can do it virtually. And then she talked to her staff and her team, and she was like, no, we want you here. And so we made the trip. We went to Lagos, Nigeria. And this was indeed a night to remember. It was indeed a night to remember. Man, I get chills on this one too, y'all. It was amazing. I'm showing you this and I'm sharing these things with you because these are some of the things that I've been afforded because I made some decisions. And your path won't be just like mine. The same doors, there'll be different doors. You know, you may go to some different countries and things of that sort. But what I'm trying to communicate to you all today is that there's a big old world out there waiting for you. There's some doors that are going to be open. Are you going to be able to say yes to those doors? We Win, Women Empowering Women International Network. This is the international network that was birthed a few years back. And this is the network, many of you may be a part of it now, that's able to bring women together from all over the world. We have a We Win Kenya. So we have a chapter in Kenya, Africa. I remember going, not 2020, but 2019, and we did a whole segment right there and introduced We Win Kenya. And it was amazing. It was amazing. We have an international women's intercessory prayer team. Man, it's amazing what God will do with a yes. And when we get out of that place of fear and begin to really, really stand up in our authority and do what God has called us to do. I can't say that enough. These are the babies in Kenya at the primary school in Kenya. And me and Apostle were there, and we got to go to the primary school there in Kenya and visit with the babies. Both years that we've gone, we visited with these babies in that school there, and it's been amazing. I believe when we were there, we got an opportunity to lay hands on all those children and pray for them. Nothing like it. This was the highlight of our trip, of our first trip there. We got the opportunity to impact future generations in Kenya, in another nation. There are kids that we touched in this setting that will always remember the word or the prayer that we prayed with them. and the time that we had with them. And we've been able to pour and send things over for these kids and some of the older, younger ladies. It's just been amazing, y'all. It has been amazing. But this was one of the very special times that we spent there. Also, the awakening, I was able to have an awakening women's encounter there in Kenya. It was amazing. I started the awakening women's encounter here in the US. I did this conference for about this encounter for about 10 years here in the US. The last time the Lord told me not to do it, I didn't understand why, but I found out not long after that he was taking the awakening to Africa. And there was a pastor over in Africa, Pastor Irene Gift. Some of you know her. She had the burden for an awakening for the women in Kenya. And she held an awakening there and invited me over to be the speaker for the awakening that was being held there. And the next year, we did the awakening and took a whole team of about 12 individuals over to Africa with us. And so I'm just sharing this because I want you guys to know there's a world out there. This was amazing. This is the first time, I had to speak at this particular event. And this was the first time that I got the opportunity to speak with an interpreter. I got it after a while. It was fun. So the fourth decision that I had to make based on all of that, I had to decide that I wasn't going to continue to be limited or confined, excuse me, based on my past. So I had a past that was riddled with fear, insecurity, low self-esteem, regret, and depression. Now, all of those things, as they are, had no place in any of those slides that I showed you before. There's no way I could have traveled like I've traveled, impacted the lives that God has allowed me to impact, do the things that He's allowed me to do, full of fear and insecurity and low self-esteem and regret and depression, scared to take a risk, scared to make a different move, scared to try something new, scared to step out in business. I had to make the decision that I wasn't going to continue to be limited or confined based on my past attitudes, my past experiences. I always tell people, and the reason I tell people this is because I had to get it first, is that you are not what you went through. Your experience and who you are two separate things. And once I got a hold of that, I was able to make this decision, y'all. Some of you all need to make this decision right here. And it's going to be the difference between success and failure. It's going to be the decision maker between open doors and closed doors. It's going to be the decision maker between being in purpose and just living life from one day to the next, just getting by. It's time out for you just surviving. It's time for you to thrive, okay? I release myself from the chains of these things that told me no to everything. Fear told me no, you'll never be able to speak. Fear told me no, you'll never be able to coach. Fear told me no, you'll never be able to run a business. Insecurity told me no, you'll never be able to say anything that anybody would want to hear. Low self-esteem said no, you don't even have the belief, you don't even have the power. Regret, things of my past. Regret would tell me no. Don't you remember who you used to be and what you used to do? Don't you remember all the mistakes you made? All of these things will tell you no. And there's some things that may be telling you no today. But you got to find on the inside of you a yes to the decision that you're not going to be limited and you're not going to be confined based on your past. This is a good one right here, y'all. What things are telling you no right now? What's operating on the inside of you that's telling you no? Huh? Is it fear? Is it insecurity? Is it low self-esteem, regret, depression? What is it that's telling you no? Well, it's time for you to shut that voice up and release a big yes out of your mouth and out of your spirit. So I love this. This is in Nigeria. This is me. So after being able to be released, from working a 9 to 5 and doing somebody else's dream and fulfilling somebody else's dream, I was able to travel and I started this whole campaign of jump, right? And so the day that we were getting ready to leave Lagos, I was out in front of the house where we stayed, and the gentleman there, he said, "You can take a picture in front of the gate right here." And I was like, "Sure, I'll do it." And then he said, "Why don't you jump? Why don't you jump?" I was like, "Okay, all right, you ain't said nothing but a word." And so I jumped, and this is the picture. Look at that face, y'all. Look at that face. Does that look like somebody that's fearful, insecure, regretful, shameful? Not at all. That's the look of freedom. So this is me jumping in Nigeria. Jump. The Lord gave me an acronym for jump. Just use my power. The Bible tells us that God has given us power. He's given us power to tread upon serpents and scorpions, right? He's given us power to get wealth. He's given us power, come on, over the works of his hands. We have power. And so I just made up in my mind that I was going to jump everywhere that I went, okay? And so I jumped in Nigeria. This is me jumping in South Africa. So this is the trip that I took in 2019, I believe. This is my second trip to South Africa. And again, that's me jumping. Look at that face again, mouth wide open. Man, it was nothing. Being out there in that place, I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was nothing but that type of terrain that you see, mountain ranges. It was so beautiful. And then there was a particular place there where there were waterfalls. Amazing. Amazing. You see, when you begin to be exposed to more, you want more. You want more. And I've always said that the level of your elevation, the level of your success is directly correlated with the exposure that you have to different people, places, things, ideas, right? Opportunities, that the more you're exposed to, the more you want, the more you desire, the more that you get out there and you try something new. So I jumped in South Africa too, y'all. I jumped there. And then this was the ultimate jump right here, guys. I jumped out of a plane at 53. I jumped out of a plane, right? This is taking the jumping thing to a whole nother level, okay? 15,000 feet up in the air, I believe. I remember doing this. It was exhilarating. You see that picture at the top there, when my hand on the side of the plane, right there, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. But you see the other picture down there on the lower right-hand side. I said, yes, I'm going to jump. And so you see the little saying there, some people spend their entire life standing at the door looking at the possibilities. They stand there, they get to the point that I was at the edge of that plane right there, and they never jump out. They're just looking at the possibilities. And then there are those who just simply jump. Man, I'm one of those people. And I believe that some of you that are on today, that you're in that category as well. This was unforgettable. I will never forget the day that I jumped out of a perfectly good plane, okay? It was amazing. And so this brings me to the fifth decision. The fifth decision. I had to decide that I was going to jump. I had to make that decision, y'all. I had to decide that I couldn't go any higher unless my feet left the ground. I don't mean that you got to go jump out of a plane, but what I do mean is that you got to allow your vision and your dreams to take you to a place that's higher than you are right now. I was going to do all that God told me to do. And this is what the Lord told me, and I would say it over and over and over again. It was my job to jump, but it was his job to make sure that I was able to fly. And he's done it every time. There's not been a time that I've jumped. Listen, the fall is not always like, or the jump is not always like I thought it was going to be. Sometimes it has twists and turns and the wind blows and all of that sort of thing. But I still land on my feet because he gives me the ability to fly. He gives you the ability to fly. And that's why I wanted you guys to come and be a part of this webinar, is because I wanted you to see these decisions that I had to make. And I hope it stirred something in you, because there's some decision that you got to make, you know? How many of you are on this thing of someday? Someday for me finally came in a lot of different ways, okay? Someday I'm going to live my dreams. Someday I'm going to start my business. Someday I'm going to become a coach. Someday I'm going to work for myself. Someday my life is going to change. Someday I'm going to have the courage to jump. My someday finally came. I hope that your someday is here right now. If you're not already jumping, if you're not already soaring, if you're not already flying, or if you're flying at levels that you know are beneath what God has ordained for your life. So this is what I knew. And all of this came from my saying yes to my dreams, my saying yes to coaching, my saying yes to being certified as a master level coach, being able to certify others. When I first started coaching, I wasn't certifying other coaches, but let me tell you what happens when you align yourself. I wasn't certifying coaches. I was coaching groups and individuals. All of a sudden, I started getting these questions. Do you train coaches? Do you certify coaches? And at first I was like, no. I had to say no so many times until the Holy Spirit had to hit me upside the head and said, listen, Don't you understand what's happening here? If this question is coming to you, you need to be able to say yes. And that's where the certification program was birthed from. I had to write the curriculum, I had to get it together. But if I had never said yes to the coaching, I could not have gone to the next level. And so this is what I knew. This is what I knew when I started coaching. I knew that coaching was for me because I understood that the dynamics of coaching was one that was based upon moving forward and progress and movement and success. Now, I knew that was for me. It was my passion. I had no question about it. Now, what I did not know, let me tell you what I didn't know. I didn't know where the money was going to come from. I didn't know where the clients were going to come from. I didn't know anything about pricing. I didn't know anything about what my niche was at that time. I had no clue about marketing. Creating programs, what was that? I didn't know any of this, had never done it. But you know what I decided? I decided, and this is another extra decision, I decided to go for what I did know. And let's go back to what I knew. I knew that coaching was for me. I knew it was my God ordained purpose. I knew I had a passion for it, and I knew I could be good at it. I knew I could be good at it. And so I decided, and instead of what most people do, is they let the I don't know category talk them out of everything. Well, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, and I've never done it before, and I don't know who's gonna help me, and I don't know how I'm gonna get started, and I don't know how I'm gonna build it, and I don't worry about what you don't know, especially if you're a child of God, because He knows everything, and everything that you need to know, He'll show it to you. Living witness right here, a living witness that He'll do that. And so what I knew is that coaching was for me. Some of you have sat through this presentation, you sat through this webinar, and something has been stirred on the inside of you. Your dreams have been stirred on the inside of you. You've gotten a new perspective just listening to my testimony and going on my journey with me. I love taking others along on my journey because this is what I know, that God is not a respective person. And if He does it for me and He does it for others, He will definitely do it for you. But you got to move on what you know, what you know. And so look at these pictures, y'all. So down at the bottom right hand corner, that's me at my job, back in that office again. Okay. I didn't look too happy. And I didn't know that. I would look at that picture when I first took that picture, and I was like, okay, that's a pretty good picture. But can you look at the evolution? Can you look at the transformation? Can you look at what living on purpose and operating in your purpose will do for you? It'll change you from the inside out and from the outside in. It'll give you a new perspective, a new look, a new hope, a new confidence, a new boldness, a new flair. It'll do all those things for you. Yes, youthfulness, because I look a lot older in that bottom picture than I look at any of those others, or even than I look right now. But it's because the weight of the world, the weight of not living on purpose was on me. And as much as I tried to mask it, as much as I tried to say, oh no, this is good, it was showing and I didn't even realize it. So, what does success look like for you? You know, what would make the difference for you to blossom and for you to bloom into what it is that God has called you to do? Those other three pictures, man, I am doing what I love to do, ministry and positioning myself for what it is that God has for me to do. I would never, when you think about me years and years ago, I would never get in front of a camera like that and take a picture. Photo shoot. Are you kidding me? Now you can't keep me out of a camera, Lord. Oh my goodness. And so today, I had a D-Day, y'all. I had a D-Day. D-Day, and we're not talking about the wars. D-Day is equal to a decision day. You got to make a decision. Success is what you say it is, and then what you do about it. Okay. So you see how the definition of success has evolved. Now we can say that the success is that journey, that path, right? But I believe today, when I think about success, success is what you say it is, and then what you do about it. One of the things that I always have my coaching clients do is to create a statement of success. What is success for you? I can't tell you what success is. You have to make that up in your mind. And see, when I decided what success was for me, and I looked around me, I was like, this ain't it. This ain't it. This is way off course. So when you decide what success is for you, and you begin to take an assessment around you, you got to decide, am I there or not? Is there something that I need to be doing different or not? And then you got to do something about it. You got to do something about it. So today is your D-Day. Anything worth having is worth fighting for and working for and sacrificing for. You got to be willing to do the work. That's another one of my mottos. You got to be willing to do the work. That's me right there all day long, y'all. On the phone, typing, reading books, anything and everything to get the job done. And guess what? I love every minute of it because I'm doing what it is that God has called me to do and impacting lives along the way. So I want to talk to you about the Living on Purpose Coaching Certification Program. Okay. I want to talk to you about enrolling and registering for our upcoming module, which is going to happen on March 11th. Okay. March 11th, just a few weeks from now, we're going to kick off our first cohort of 2021. Okay. The course price is regularly priced at $1,000. Okay. For that 8-week course. And can I tell you, it's way underpriced. It is way underpriced. I think Marcia is still on here. And when we had a winner, somebody won the drawing to be in the class and have a free spot, a free seat in the class. And I was like, it's $1,000 value. And Marcia was like, wait a minute, it's way more than that. It's because this course and what we offer, and you'll see once you get in here, it's way, way, way underpriced based on what we give. Myself, and you guys see Coach Barbara's on today. She's my assistant, and she does an amazing job in helping me to get these coaches through this program. And let me tell you, it's something that will change your life. We have coaches who have gone through the program, and they have done things that have been amazing. They have said, even out of their own mouths, that just the value that I get from being coached. Because one thing about the Living on Purpose Coaching Certification Program, not only are you equipped to coach others, while you are going through the program, you are coached. I'm your coach. Coach Barbara is your coach. You have a peer coach. And so let me tell you, there's some things that are unearthed. There are some things that come to surface, because this is what I believe about coaches. You can't take anybody anywhere that you've not been. That you have to know the experience, that you got to know what it feels like to be pulled and to be challenged and to be, put on the carpet, right? And so that's what you're doing with your clients. And that's what we do for you. That's the favor that we give you as we coach you through these 8 weeks. It's an amazing journey, I promise you, and you won't regret it. Because you're here today, and you're able to take this time and just to listen to my story and listen to what I have to say about dreams and the decisions. We have a special where you can register for $900 if you register by March 5th. And that $900 price there goes into effect if you are willing to pay the full payment. You can pay $900 and you get $100 savings on the registration for the course. Okay, but it doesn't stop there. You guys take note that you can register at KimberlyJonesGlobal.com. But I want to talk to you because this is what gets a lot of people. They look at it and they're like, oh, $1,000, that's too much. I don't have $1,000. Remember, you begin to think about the things that you don't know, like, how am I going to get that money? How am I going to afford this, right? But we make it easy so that anybody would be able to participate in this program who has a desire to. So I want to talk to you about payment plans, okay? This is the no excuse zone. This is D-Day. Remember, this is decision day. We want you to be a part of our next cohort that begins on March 11th, and it's cohort 03-2021. That's the class number, okay? But it begins on March 11th, and it's an 8-week online class. You don't have to worry about, oh, I'm not in Atlanta. You don't have to be. All you got to do is have access to a device that will allow you to log in to class every week and log in to our portal where we house all of our curriculum, okay? So let's talk about these payment plans here. So if you're paying full, like I talked about, the first payment of $900, that full payment is due prior to March 5th if you want to take advantage of the savings, okay? And you make that payment in full at Kimberly Jones Global. The second option is breaking it down into 6 payments, and you'll be billed monthly from the date of enrollment, and the monthly payment will be $200 a month, okay? You have to put $300 down to start, and then you're billed $200 a month. And with that particular payment plan, of course, there are service charges if we're doing and administrating payment plans, and so you pay a little bit more if you do the 6 payment plan, okay? It's $200 more. There's another payment it's not where you make nine payments, and you're billed monthly from the date of enrollment, and you pay $100 every 2 weeks. It's a little more aggressive in paying. You put that $300 down to start, and you pay $100 every 2 weeks. And because that one is a little more aggressive and you get it paid off earlier, the service charge on that is only $100. So you end up paying a total of $1,100 for the program. If you do payment plan number 2, it's $1,200 for the entire program. And the other thing that we have is if you decide that you're going to enroll and you say, you know what, I'm going to make the full payment before the program is over, before May 6th. And you pay half, you would have to pay half to start. So that would be $500 to start. And then you would be responsible for paying the remainder of it before out processing on May 6th. Okay. So those are the payment plans. Now, one of those things has to be something that that you can commit to. Okay. We're just glad, listen, we're just glad that you took the opportunity to be here today, to take part in this Living on Purpose Coaching Success webinar. I hope that something that has been said today, something that I've shared with you guys today has been an encouragement to you, that it's been something that will inspire you to do more, to be more, to stand up in your purpose, and to and just live on purpose, just to live on purpose. And so I want to open up the floor right now for any input, any feedback, any questions that you all might have before we end the webinar. And I also, I don't know if Coach Barbara, if there's something that you'd like to share as well. Any questions? No questions? No feedback? Somebody has to have something to say. I've been talking, running my mouth for an hour now. Thank you. Ebony, I see you have your...
Yes, ma'am.
How
are you? Yeah, I'm really excited. I feel like even with everything that you offer, and I feel blessed to even have seen like a payment plan and everything like that, I know what I have to do. Because I was talking to my sister a couple of days ago, and I was going over in my head, but out loud, about the pricing and everything. And then it flipped around what I threw out there, and it became almost like I confronted myself out loud. And I asked myself, am I not worth more than this investment? Like, my investment in myself is the biggest investment that I can make. So instead of thinking about it like in a negative way, it's only going to benefit me once I have what I need, what I know I need in my hand in order to make me more marketable in doing what I already do.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. I love what you said, that you had to confront, you got to a point where you confronted yourself. That's your D-Day. That's your D-Day right there.
Felt that too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's your D-Day. Thank you for sharing, Ebony. We look forward to your class.
Thank you.
Yes. Coach Barbara, did you have something?
First, I just would like to just reiterate what Pastor Kimberly has said. We certainly thank all of you for being here. And the coaching journey is an amazing journey. And the mere fact that you've stepped out, we've piqued your interest. I want to tell you that you're not going to be disappointed. And I really like how Ebony talked about that shift in mindset. Sometimes we have to just shift our mindset and look at it not as something that I have to pay, but something that I'm going to get. And so this is an investment in you. PK talked about it. It really is an investment in you. And so I'm one of her coaches. She's my mentor, and just so much more. And so I want you to know that coaching actually makes you become a better person. One of the strategies that we teach about in coaching is just self-awareness, just knowing who you are and really digging into to really get to know you. and know that you're capable, and we're capable of so much more. So this is an investment in you. That's what I'd like to leave you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Coach Barbara. And Coach Barbara actually went through, she's an alumni of the program, and she came full circle, and I came into the mentoring program, and then God just orchestrated it. Who knew that that was in her future, right? But I'm telling you, saying yes, I'm telling you, it brings things into your life that you can never imagine. So I absolutely love her, and she is great at what she does. So thank you, Coach Barbara. You know what? I'm going to put, I don't know if you can, Marcia, but I'm going to kind of put you on the spot because Marcia just recently came through the program. I don't know. Can you talk right now or not, Marcia? Coach Marcia. There she is.
Good afternoon. Yes, let me turn on some light so I can see myself. Are you all able to hear me?
Uh-huh.
Awesome. Awesome. I typically do not get to listen to your podcasts that you do during the day. I have to go back in the afternoon, but today I was fortunate enough to be able to listen live. And I just thank you and Coach Barbara. And I would like to really just encourage anyone who's considering to take the jump. I posted that. I said that you and Coach Barbara made me feel safe to jump. You know, sometimes we know that things are in us, but we might have people around us who are not pushing us into our greatness. And one thing that I learned is that it's okay to talk about your greatness and to share it with other people. So anyone who is considering, I encourage you to do it. I had been following Pastor Kim for a while, kept coming up with excuses. And then finally I sent her, I'm gonna be transparent here. I sent her a note thinking she's so busy, she won't even see it until it's too late anyway, so it won't matter. But she almost immediately responded, and that was further confirmation for me. And I'm so glad I did. And I just wanted to tell Coach Barbara too, the thing that she said, it helps you become a better person. And I feel like I'm a better wife, I'm a better mother, I'm a better teacher, I'm a better mentor, and a better coach because of the program. So thank you all.
Wow. Wonderful. Thank you for that. Thank you. And she's doing some good stuff. That I see you just did a photo shoot here recently.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in the big leagues now.
Can't wait. I saw a little snippet. I can't wait to see them. Blessings to you, Coach Marcia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. I think there was another, was there a question in the chat there? Okay, Candace, yeah, I can give you that information. She sent me, I'll answer that question and address that privately. Absolutely. Okay, all right. Okay, well, I think that's it, you all. Thank you so much for just committing to being a part of the webinar this afternoon. And if you have any further questions, please reach out to us and let us know so that we can get you set up and ready for this March 11th cohort. God bless you guys and have an amazing weekend.